Senator Amy Klobuchar will be running as a Democratic candidate in 2020, and she had a town hall on CNN. Now, during this town hall, she really did position herself as a specific type of Democrat, and you will see exactly what I mean in this next clip.
I'm a moderate Democrat with progressive leanings who believes in the American message of hope and opportunity for all. I am looking for a Democratic candidate who can make Donald Trump a one-term president and doesn't sacrifice a moderate vision to the leftist ideologies of outspoken progressives. I want to hear achievable goals that benefit minorities and the middle class now and are not pipe dreams for the future. Are you my candidate?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that was a short part of her answer. We have a longer part in just a minute, but she's made it clear that she is speaking for moderate Democrats. And look, that's not our brand. That's not what we're looking for, but who knows? Maybe there are more moderate people on the left who would find that extremely appealing.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So I like what a softball that was. So now it's a town hall where the folks get to ask the question. But remember, CNN curates the questions. So they pick who's gonna get to go on TV and ask the question. Yeah. So they're like, who's got a softball? Okay, bingo, right? And so, but to be fair to CNN, if she wasn't that person that person described, then CNN knows she is, right? But if she wasn't, she would say, no, that's not me. I appreciate that you're looking for that candidate. Imagine any politician doing this. I can imagine Bernie Sanders doing it, right? But other than that, right? Imagine any politician going, oh, no, I'm not your guy, okay? So I'm gonna go for big change. We're gonna fix healthcare, period, in this country. I'm tired of people dying because they don't have insurance. So if you wanna support a candidate who's just gonna work around the edges on Medicare, there's plenty of choices for you. God bless your heart. No, but Klobuchar, here's that long list. And again, that's a real person, that's a substitute teacher.
Right.
Okay, bless her heart. And we interviewed people like that in 2016. Then you vote for the Klobuchars of the world, that's right, okay? But that's Klobuchar raising her hand going, I am not going for big change.
Right, I am not a progressive. And I think it is important for our politicians and our candidates to be clear about who they are. Now in the next clip, Klobuchar elaborates on her centrist views.
Someone that has always believed that we have to govern from opportunity and not from the chaos that we're seeing right now in the White House. I also am someone that looks for common ground. In fact, in the last 2 years, 34 of the bills where I was the lead Democrat got signed into law. I don't think President Trump noticed it, but that happened. I announced my candidacy in front of the Mississippi River for a reason last weekend. I didn't think it was gonna be 17 degrees with a bunch of snow, but it was. And I did that because I wanted to make the point that we need to cross our river of our divides, that we need to walk over this sturdy bridge that is our democracy, and that we need to get to higher ground in our politics.
So we had 8 years of President Barack Obama, and in those 8 years, he fought, and it was very frustrating to reach across the aisle and work with Republicans. And every time he did it, Republicans punched him in the face. Not literally, but politically speaking, that's what they did. The Republican Party had no interest and continues to have no interest in reaching across the aisle to work with the other side. And the idea of, oh no, if I get elected, I'm somehow miraculously gonna convince Republicans to work with me and carry out some of the policy proposals I have. It's crazy and ridiculous. Now, to be fair, there have been a number of Republicans who have come out since she announced and said that, oh yeah, Klobuchar really does have the power to reach across the aisle. But of course they're gonna say that, right? They would want someone like Klobuchar to get elected because she would be easy to ignore, as long as you're in Congress, and you wouldn't have to work with her. She's already been elected. Anyway, and she does tend to vote with Republicans a little more than the other candidates.
Yeah, so is Amy Klobuchar going to get the Republicans to work and agree to progressive ideals?
No.
No, because that's not possible. You have to defeat the Republicans, and you have to make them scared for their seats. The only way that you can actually get any Republican to cross over is if they're worried, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my power, I'm gonna lose my congressional seat. The idea that Klobuchar would go to Mitch McConnell and be like, hey, I know that your donors don't want this, but can you just improve healthcare in this country, even though it's gonna cost you a lot of money in campaign contributions? Hey, look, I know your donors don't want this, but can we get really tough gun legislation? And can you just ignore the NRA? And McConnell goes, oh my God, Klobuchar is here. She's so good at working across the Mississippi River, and she's so pleasant. Fine, I'll ignore the NRA. No, it is a wrong thesis on politics.
Absolutely, and since you just brought up the NRA, I do want to mention something she said in response to gun control. She said that she judges gun control bills by whether they would hurt my Uncle Dick in the deer stand. That was not a good answer, right?
Okay.
Because look, it's not a good answer because no one cares about your Uncle Dick, right? Right now, we're dealing with mass shootings on a regular basis. We're dealing with children getting shot up in schools. And so when you bring up your Uncle Dick in this context, it just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, and so that's her way of saying, conservatives, don't worry, I'm actually on your side.
Right.
I won't do any gun control, and I'm gonna reach across the aisle, and I know the Republicans will only agree to Republican proposals. So I'll do some Republican proposals with them. And she's not gonna try she just told you she's not gonna try for any progressive proposals. And even if she were to, the Republicans wouldn't agree. So what's the only thing left to agree on? Republican proposals. So from my perspective, and we have a perspective here. We're home of progressives. We don't hide it. Am I happy to talk to Amy Klobuchar? Yes, absolutely. She can come on here and do a forceful defense of her position, and that would earn my respect, the respect of the audience, and might get her more voters that are more aligned with her. But for progressives, the idea of working with Mitch McConnell and not proposing anything that's big change for the progressives is not an enticing idea. The ratings for that town hall were disastrous, to which I say, of course.
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. I mean, come on.
Okay. So I do want to get into one other policy that was discussed, and it's a policy that I care deeply about, the issue of affordable college, right? And she made it clear that she's not as progressive as we would like on making college affordable. Take a look.
Do you support free college for all?
I am not for free 4-year college for all, no. Thank you. So, I wish if I was a magic genie and could give that to everyone and we could afford it, I would. I'm just trying to find a mix of incentives and make sure kids that are in need, that's why I talked about expanding Pell Grants, can go to college and be able to afford it. Yeah. And then make sure that people that can afford it are able to pay.
Yeah, I hate when politicians bring up, like, maybe we'll expand Pell Grants. Pell Grants do very little to offset the enormous costs of being a college student. And right now, in a system where an undergraduate degree isn't even enough, where employers are looking for a graduate degree, your Pell Grants mean little to nothing. So, using that as an excuse for or a substitute for real change is pathetic, and I'm not buying it. But there's more. Let's watch the next video.
Have a mounting debt that the Trump administration keeps getting worse and worse. I also don't want to leave that on the shoulders of all these kids, right? And so we've got to do a balance. Some of it's major tax reform in terms of reversing some of the things that this administration has done. And then some of it is making sure that students are getting degrees and being led to jobs where we actually have jobs.
Yeah, it's 1.5 trillion collectively we hold Americans, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's why the refinancing. And I figure if billionaires can refinance their yachts, students should be able to refinance their loans.
That's your answer? Students should be able to refinance their loans. First of all, many students are able to refinance their loans. This is not a solution to the $1.5 trillion in debt that we have in student loans. But more importantly, like, she brought up Trump and how the debt's worsening under his watch. Now, the overall federal debt, yes, is worsening under his watch. A huge issue, though, is the fact that a bunch of students have to take out these federal loans in order to go to college. And so a big part of that debt does have to do with these student loans. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing? You're just gonna let them refinance something that many of them can already do, and then you're gonna propose expanding Pell Grants? Come on, man.
So, look, on policy, obviously, it leaves a lot to be desired for progressives. But the politics is also awful. So there's two different kinds of debt, of course, the personal debt, the student debt that we're talking about, and then there's the national debt. But that's the oldest trick in the book. The Republicans spend like drunk sailors and give all the money to the rich and to the multinational corporations. Then a Democrat comes and goes, I'm gonna be reasonable. So I'm now not going to do any progressive priorities. And all I'm gonna do is pay for the mess that the Republicans created when they gave away everything to the rich. No deal, no, not interested. And by the way, it's not good politics. When you go in and say, my big proposal is to pay down the debt. Who's excited by that? No one outside of CNN is excited by that, okay? And then finally, I've never ever seen a politician win when they say, well, if I had a magic genie, right? And so I don't have a magic genie, right? And it's because you're the Debbie Downer candidate who says, I'm just talking about politics here. Policy is different, but in politics, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to promise you anything. I'm not going to give you any hope. I'm not going to fight for you. I'm going to work with Republicans to clean up the mess that they created and maybe make a little bit more of a mess because I don't have a magic genie. Saying I don't have a magic genie is saying I'm not going to try.
Totally.
And so good luck to her. I told you from day one, she has no chance of winning. She's a completely manufactured candidate that the mainstream media is trying to wish into existence. They do this all the time, and they do it on the Republican side with guys like Tim Pawlenty, and they do it on the Democratic side with people like Amy Klobuchar. So no offense against her, but she never had a chance. The only people who like her are the ones on TV who go, oh, you're gonna keep most of the tax cuts for the rich, and you're not gonna do anything that would take money from me. Let's give you a town hall right away, okay? Not gonna work. I conclude with Klobuchar.
One final thing though, I'm not letting you conclude because I have one other thing to say. I don't, like, the fact that the only thing the mainstream media has attacked her on is the fact that she's too tough on her staff. And I'm not trying to minimize that. Some of the things that I read were unsettling to say the least. But it's interesting how she gets attacked for that, but they don't really criticize her policy proposals. Right, her policy proposals, at least from that CNN town hall, appear to be completely fine with them.
Of course, they love those.
Yeah.
They find those to be mainstream, pragmatic. In fact, every article that covered the town hall, number one word they used was pragmatic, pragmatic, pragmatic. Doing nothing and protecting the status quo for the people already in charge in the status quo is wonderfully pragmatic, right? Well, if you want radical change that's actually going to help the American people, not pragmatic, that would upset the status quo. Remember, the multi-billion-dollar corporations that own most of the media, they don't want you to rock the boat because it's their boat. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.